Just before I get into today's video, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's backed me and pledged to pre-order my hard enamel pins of my shrimp logo on my latest Kickstarter project in order to make my first ever piece of merch. I feel so grateful for you. I'm just so blessed. We went over target this morning, which is absolutely amazing, and we're well on our way to get the first freebie so that everyone will get exclusive sticker as well with your pin. It's going to be holographic, it's going to be gorgeous. I'm just so excited to unlock it. Thank you just so much for your support. If you haven't backed it, haven't pledged, haven't pre-ordered and want to, then I will leave the link down in the description so you could check it out. It's going to be, like I said, my first ever piece of merch, and I'm so excited to bring it to life. So yeah, thank you so much for anyone who has pledged so far. I feel so grateful, and I just needed to say that quickly. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Sorry for today's video, I have a paper squishy wallet for you. We are making two 3D designs of paper squishies today. I thought I'd put two together just to make the video a little bit longer and give you a few extra ones, because I haven't done a paper squishy video in a couple of weeks now, and I know a lot of you love them, and I know so many of you love the 3D ones, so I thought I'd put two in today's video. Anymore, I think the video would be way too long because you have to, you know, explain it a little bit more. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, if you do end up recreating them, then be sure to tag me on Instagram. The link's always down in the description. And yeah, I'm just going to get straight on into it. So what you'll need to do for the paper squishy is obviously have some paper. I use regular printer paper, A4 white paper for my squishies. The pens that I use are recently from Arteza. These were gifted to me, but I'm not paid to talk about them or anything. I just really like them, so I carried on using them. I will leave all of the colours that I've used off the pens because they do have the names on, and a link to them if you're interested. So I folded my A4 piece of paper in half, and then along the open edge I did a line of the yellow colour along with a brown colour to kind of make it look like it was like half baked. I then used a blue pen and the fine liner side of them because there's a brush and then like a fine liner, and I drew out loads and loads of circles. I then drew a light yellow line across the top just to mark off the like top bit of the pastry of the pie. I coloured in around about a third of those circles with a certain shade, and then just went in with a few more shades of blue just to add a little bit of extra dimension. Then went in with some darker shades just to, like, you know, put in bigger blueberries, and then just keep going and going and going and going and going with loads of other blue shades. Once I got down to a darker shade, this one here, I really like this, so I ended up adding loads of circles around and then drawing and colouring all in between, where I basically just had white paper just to cover them up, and this left a really good effect. It did take me a little while to do it, so I've sped it up here, but look at that. Once it was done, it looked so effective. I then covered the whole entirety of the design with some clear tape. I would recommend cheaper tape rather than more expensive like golden sellotape brand, because that can build up and make your page yellow. So cheaper one from like Poundland, something like that, that tape works the best. You know, the ones where you get like 5 rolls for £1. Honestly, it just works the best for these. I would recommend the cheaper one over expensive tape any day. So I covered my whole entire piece in tape, then cut it out. I then made like another piece of paper kind of fold at the same like width, and then coloured that in the yellow and added some brown in to make the back piece of the pie. I just coloured that in, making sure all the strokes went in one direction to make it nice and smooth, covered that in tape and cut it out. Once cut out, I then assembled the pieces together. So I attached a piece of tape to the like blueberry side, making sure that it was facing upwards so that I was able to stick the back piece of the pie straight on there. As you can see here, I'm just folding the tape over, and then I can just fold that into place. I then did the same on the other side, lining it up, taping it down, just tucking around any excess tape just to secure it nicely. Once that was done, I was then able to like fold it into the right shape and then make it into a 3D triangle. To make the top and the bottom parts, what I did was I just placed that shape down on a piece of paper, took a pencil and made 3 kind of dots to make each point. I then joined up each of those dots to make a point of a triangle so that I was left with the right size triangle shape for both the top and the bottom. You'll want to create 2 of these triangles that we can decorate later. For the top triangle, I made like this crisscross type pattern just to like make it like a lattice kind of pastry effect on my pie. I then made the lines in the darker brown shade that I used on like the base and stuff, and then I used the lighter shade colour in the other ones. So I did this in like a checker pattern because I wanted it to look like the pastry was kind of weaved, and then I added some shading on afterwards. As you can see here, like I built up the colours on the outside just to give it a bit of extra dimension, and like I said, I used that lighter shade colour in the rest, adding a little bit of kind of shading on each side of those as well, keeping it all heading in the same direction. Once that was done, I then used a Sharpie pen to draw on the face on the top of the pie. I use a permanent marker so that the ink doesn't bleed, and would recommend a Sharpie just because it's the best kind of one, and the point of the Sharpies are nice. I had to buy some new ones because I misplaced mine, and I finally bought some over the weekend, so I have new Sharpies now. I'm very happy about it. I then taped on the top piece that we just made onto the top of the blueberry pie. As you can see, it fits nicely because we drew it out, and I just used bits of tape going all the way around to make sure it was nice and secure. I then did the same on the bottom, but basically for that triangle I didn't make the lattice design, I just coloured it in with that light yellow and added a bit of the darker brown just to act as, you know, a little bit of a bit gold and more on the bottom. Cover that in tape and then stuck it along the bottom, just making sure not to seal it. I just basically stuck that back edge down to the back edge of the pie. Once that was done, I then needed to make the stuffing to go inside. So in order to do this, I took a sandwich bag, just a plastic sandwich like bag, just a thin one, and I took some toy stuffing. You can use pillow stuffing, old toys, anything like that, anything you have hanging around, and you just want to stuff the sandwich bag with that, taping it down, trapping some air inside. You'll then want to take a pin, just stab it loads to get some air holes, and then this basically turns into like a squishy, as you can see here, like squishing it down, the air can then get back in those pinholes and it makes a good solid base. I usually use memory foam little bits in this as well, but I didn't today because I know a lot of you don't have that, so yeah, this is a great alternative. You then want to pop that inside of the paper squishy and maybe, you know, out of shape a little bit, but it will come back together once we tape it all down. So as you can see here, I'm pinching the edges together and then taking bits of tape just bit by bit to really keep the shape of the squishy into that triangle. Because the air is obviously so prominent inside the stuffing, it may just pop out a little bit, but the more you can kind of keep this really tight with the tape, the better the shape will hold. For some final details, this isn't 100% necessary, but I just like to put that. I used a white Posca paint pen just to add some highlight to the eyes and the tongue inside of the mouth as well. I then left that to dry, and once dry, I then coloured in the tongue with a pink pen because I don't have a pink Posca paint pen, so that worked well. And then in order to preserve that face, I just put a piece of tape over the top of it. Okay, so this is how the blueberry pie has turned out. It's nice and chunky. Look at that. I think it's so adorable. I love this effect that the blueberries kind of gave. Just loads and loads of different blues on there, just in circles. I think it looks absolutely adorable. The face on there is just to die for. Obviously that's the face I put on everything, but squishiness wise, let's get started. So obviously in here we haven't got any memory foam like I usually do. I tried to make these ones no foam today because I know some of you obviously don't have memory foam scraps like I do, but let's do that again. It's nice and airy, it's working well, comes back 75% I'd say. I do prefer to put memory foam in mine, but like I said, I know a lot of you don't have it, so this is what you can kind of expect just from the toy stuffing and bag situation. But you can always like pump it back out, make it look super sweet again. So yeah, really happy with the first design, and I'm going to move on to a second design for you today. So for the second design, I used this purple shade of pen, and I did loads of circles all joined up in order to make a bunch of grapes. I just did 1 circle, 3 circles, 3 circles, and then 3 circles again to make my bunch. I think this turned out absolutely adorable. And then I added a piece of stalk at the top using a green pen like shown here. Look at that, adorable. I then took this lilac shade and just started colouring in the whole piece of paper. I'm going to leave this on a kind of time lapse for you because I know a lot of people like to see me colour in like loads of sheets just going in the same direction. So I'm going to leave you with a bit of music so you can watch that, and you can, you know, listen to me again in a second. So once the whole piece of paper was, you know, shaded in that purpley lilac shade, I then used a black Sharpie pen again. Like I said, I like to use black Sharpie pens on top of felt pen just because it doesn't kind of bleed like a felt pen would. I then just used some bubble writing to write out the words grape and soda. I did do a little E here because I felt like it looked cuter and funner. I know some people are going to be like, you did a little E and not a capital one, but I don't know. I just like the way it looks, and I know that probably sounds totally weird, but I think it just looks sweet. I also used the black permanent Sharpie marker to draw a little face on the grape. Again, this doesn't leak, so it worked out perfectly. Then I coloured in all of the writing using that Sharpie. I covered the whole thing in clear tape again, just sealing in all of my design. And then once that was done, I went in with the white Posca paint pen and I just went inside of the letters because I really liked how this effect worked on my squishy vending machine I made the other day. If you haven't seen that, I will leave that down in the description as well. There's going to be a lot of links down there. But yeah, this just works out really well. I really liked it on my vending machine when I made like the Lucky sign. So yeah, I just think this looks cute. I also did a little bit of highlights on the little grape thing as well, so even better. If you don't have a Posca paint pen, I would recommend some acrylic paint. It's going to work the same way. It's going to give you that extra edge, just the extra bit of detail that will look really good when you have white on paper squishies. So without folding the piece of paper, you want to roll it and then tape together each end so that it's like one cylinder. You'll then want to draw around that and then cut out 2 circles of that size, and then you want to colour them in a light grey. As you can see here, colouring it in with a light grey. You don't want to use a darker grey or like any pencil or anything. A pencil might be great to colour this thing in with if you don't have any grey pens. And then you just want to add some extra details like the camphor and the little opening to the drink, that sort of stuff, so that you have a good top. You want to tape this to the top of the grape soda cylinder that we made before, but to be honest, mine was a little bit long, so I ended up cutting mine down. If I did my design a little bit closer together, I probably would have cut down even more to make it like a little bit chubbier, a little bit cuter, but I didn't, so I had to stick with what I had. As you can see here, I'm taping on the top circle above where it says grape soda because obviously I want the camphor to be at the top of the soda can. So just taking small bits of tape, going around the circle, taping it down, small bits at a time is going to be your friend, you know. This is a little bit fiddly, took me around about 4 or 5 minutes to do it, but it's worth it taking your time on this because this is what's going to set your 3D squishy apart from just the 2D ones. To make the stuffing in this one, I just did the exact same thing, added some toy stuff in, but I also added a few felt material scraps in there. Just anything soft would work well in a sandwich bag, just so long as you have some air. I then just curled up the end of the sandwich bag, taped it down, and then added some pin air holes until I had this shape. I then put it inside of my grape soda cylinder of paper and then pushed it all down and just secured the bottom of the can down in the same way that I did the top. Like I said before, this is a little bit fiddly, but it will be worth it in the end. I then added a little bit of pink onto the tongue of the grape and then taped over my design once again. Okay, so this is how the second design has turned out. The grape soda, absolutely love. If anything, I wish I did it a little bit shorter. I have cut it down a bit because it was like this long, but yeah, I think it's so sweet. Love that little grape design on that. I almost am tempted to make some polymer clay charms or like a keychain from them, you know, like the ones I did recently. I just love that. I think it's so sweet. Love the detail on the top and then on the bottom as well. Squishiness wise of this, it should be better than the other one. It is, just because of the shape of this one. Just works better. It's going to bounce back better as well. Like, look at that. It's kind of similar to the old, I made like a Rilakkuma Swiss roll in like this sort of shape, and I know that that one worked out well. So this is how this one is going. Again, it's not the best for my usual kind of paper squishies, just because I don't have any foam in there, but like I said on this video, I wanted to do it without foam because I know that not everybody has foam. So yeah, just pull it back out to shape and then give it 5 minutes and it will be completely back to normal. But yeah, that is the second design for today's video. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Like I said, I will leave the information to my Kickstarter down in the description if you want to check that out. I will leave my Instagram, that sort of stuff down there as well, so you can check that out as well, and then tag me in any images of the squishies that you do. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye!